Hi, Andy. Nice to have you here.
Hey, Sebastian. Nice for having me.
So normally we are sitting in our tiki bar on the first floor of the exhibition hall in Cruz, but this year everything is a bit different. So, yeah,
But
I
it
would say,
looks nice, right?
yeah, thank you. We tried it.
Reminds me at least.
Yeah,
Thanks.
salute.
Cheers.
Yeah, a long time we are in business now. We know each other since 30 years now, and since 95.
30 years.
30 years, yeah, we get old.
That can't be. I'm not 30.
Maybe it was your father I met in 91. Yeah.
That sounds better.
This is a reason,
That's
yeah.
better.
My father met your father,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
the next generation, yeah. And, yeah, 95, you founded Schlund & Partner, one of the first web hosting companies in Germany. Can you tell
The
me?
first web
The
hosting
first?
company. Yeah, the first.
Well, tell me a bit about this time and what happened there. And you started to work together with Rausch in the beginning. It was really challenging, or not?
Yeah, actually, it wasn't too challenging from a business perspective because there was no other web hosting company, right? And the only people that sold web hosting was so-called point of presences. I don't know if you remember these,
yes.
where you got also internet access back then. And they sold it super, super expensive. And so it was not very difficult to offer. I think the price point back then was 99 Deutschmarks a month or something, and that was inexpensive because the typical price point was 500 Deutschmarks a month. And so that was not a big challenge. The challenge was to actually invent all the technology. Because in Germany there was no internet kind of like knowledge, nothing like that. So we were lucky and we found some students from the Karlsruhe University, one of them being Achim Weiss, that you might know. And they came up with this funny student operating system, Linux, and tried to convince us to use it. And we were very much against it because we wanted to have a hardened system like a Sun Solaris or something. But at the end they won, and Linux won at the end. And also, the question was, what kind of hardware would you use? Certainly, if you use Sun Solaris, then you use a Sun machine, which was super, super expensive. With Linux, you could use standard PCs. That was the first contact with Rausch Netzwerktechnik. We needed servers, standard kind of servers. And that was our advantage in the business. We had one major competitor, www Service from Regensburg.
Yes, I remember.
But they did resell an American hosting company. So they had the disadvantage that there was quite some lack in the internet connection.
They had an own technology? There was a reseller?
It was just a reseller. So the data center was in the US.
Okay.
So the ping times were not very good, to say. And so we argued with German data center with a completely different sense than today. Today we are arguing, or hosting companies are arguing with German data center because it's more data secure and data sovereignty and all these things. But back then it was about ping times compared to the US data centers. So, but that was the start with our relationship with Rausch Netzwerktechnik.
Yes, I remember. And the first internet connection, S2M connection with 30 ISDN connections at the same time. And and then 1 year later, must be 96, 97, you had the challenge, what I remember, that you had to handle 300,000 pop boxes, email boxes, and with one server, and then this time was no scale up or scale out technology. And we added as Rausch some SCSI drives until the limit, and to handle this huge amount of email boxes. In the meantime, this is all.
But still, 300 email boxes in one server is still today even 300,000, right?
300,000, yes.
300,000, not 300. Is still quite okay for one server. I doubt that today. Well, maybe the big server certainly.
Yeah, but today you can scale it, and in this time this was the limit. There was no scaling anymore. And then you installed the first scale-out email system. I remember in this time, 98, something like this. And the company was growing, from 2, 3, 4 employers to 300 in 98, and faster after this. And was, I think, was really a challenge as well. And then your first data center with a really data center with air conditioning inside and everything. Okay, not really data center, was a room in the office, but later was a data center with the Lampert's rooms and so on.
The Lampert security rooms.
Yeah, Lampert security
that was
rooms.
A good thing. Totally inexpensive.
Yeah, totally, yeah, but doing by learning, and learning by doing, anyway. Yeah, but so you're in the business more or less now since 95, and all you made in the time of one-on-one and today with Open Exchange, you always had contact with R&T and working with their hardware and so on. Is there any special reason?
I guess R&T was always willing to do it different, right? So maybe you should mention that some company called 101 invested in Stund & Partner, and then we merged the two companies.
Yes.
And then we got 300 people, and then at the end 3,000, and now I don't know how many. Right now at Ionos, I think 5,000, 6,000.
6,500 I heard last time.
Yeah,
yes.
okay. But when we started selling servers, the general idea of having lots of servers in a data center was buy 1-inch servers from, what was the, Cobalt? What's the company's name? There was a company called Cobalt. They invented the 1-inch server that you could put in the rack. And then Dell and Siemens and HP started offering 1-inch servers as well. And I mentioned Achim again, our CTO. He was like, this is by far too expensive. These servers cost 3 times as much as a normal server. Why cost it more when it's using less space? Doesn't make any sense. So he figured out if we could have standard servers as dense as these 1-inch servers, just for the normal price, we would have an advantage. Because density was certainly super important. Air conditioning and space in data center was back then. Right now it's not so bad, but was super expensive. So, so he went to Rausch and said, hey, I need a system that I can put as many of these servers in one rack as possible. And then the first decision with Rausch was, we need completely different racks. And we need to design them in a way that we can actually push 2 servers in 1-inch, one from one side and one from the other side.
Double-sided, yes.
If we don't do them as deep as the typical 1-inch server were, we could put one from left and right, and then also the concept of cooling in the middle, and only having hot aisles. That came up in the discussion with Rausch, and we designed these pizza box kind of like contraptions, some piece of metal where we could push a normal standard-sized server board on. And so we had double the density and a third of the price in the server space. And that was a
big advantage.
Competitive advantage that we had for quite a long time.
Yeah, and this was the beginning for us to start the developing of platforms and hardware until today, at the end, with our current solutions. Still in use with the big players in the cloud service provider area. And as I know, in use as Open Exchange as well. Yeah, it was a long journey at all, but really successful for all of us. Yeah, so we worked together, really together in the same company from 98 to 2000, and we had a lot of funny times in the new economy area where we had more party, less success, but no money, but a lot of fun. And
like Berlin.
Yeah, maybe. And some great parties together, and the CeBIT in Hanover for 6-7 days, every night on tour. But anyway, the next morning on the exhibition, and more or less awake.
I remember.
Yeah, but it was a good time. Yeah, I don't want to miss it.
Yeah, and Cloudfest was somehow a success, at least in the hosting space for CeBIT, right? I remember that the breakthrough of Stund & Partner was actually the first time we were on CeBIT, where we had this little booth in some first floor of some remote hall But it was somehow the internet era. I think 101 did that thing.
Yeah. They rented the hall and rented it to small.
Yeah, so they rented the hall and then they rented out the partitions. It was super expensive, and although it was remote and the first floor, all the people want to know about the internet. So lots and lots of people came, and that was the start where we actually started selling hosting like 3 times as much as before. So an event that actually drove revenue up quite heavily. And so CeBIT got bigger, and certainly later it was all internet. And so for hosting companies, it wasn't very interesting anymore to be there, because the industry didn't really happen. It was like more about all the consumer stuff and or like storage systems that are for like big customers, not so much for data center providers. And Cloudfest emerged. It was called World Hosting Days, as far as I remember.
Web hosting days in the first time.
Web hosting days, right? Yes. And then, so they advanced the name pretty neatly, actually, from Web hosting days. I think it was still German spoken back then, right?
Yes, I think so.
I remember like Americans and Russians being there and they're like, hey, it's all in German. What the F? Don't understand the word. But still they had the contacts, right? And then it was World Hosting Days and now Cloudfest. And that culture, meeting people and making business, is something we are really badly missing since 2 years now. This year again, we have an online event certainly, but you can't just walk by someone and make up an appointment. And so I'm very much looking forward that this will come back. And although the partying is not so heavy anymore, but there is still some partying at Cloudfest.
Oh, I would say the party in the Colosseo bar is still up to 5 in the morning. The only difference is that not so many people are staying there until 5 a.m. The most are leaving earlier, only hardcore stay there. But this is what I always say. So we are exhibiting now since 11 years without any break at Web Hosting, World Hosting Days and Cloudfest.
11 years?
11. This is 11th year now, yes.
Wow.
And
was it always a tiki bar?
No, tiki bar is since 3 or 4 years now, on the first floor of our booth, behind the LED wall. The reason we have the LED wall here and we have the tiki bar here to transport a little bit the idea of our booth to the virtual world. But they keep the how to say the idea of the new economy of the end of the 90s to the current time, to have party, but to be successful, to make business. And what I said, the really difference is, I think that in the end of the 90s we had a lot of fun, but no money. In the meantime, we are making money, but still have fun and successful.
And have no fun, you wanted to say.
It's your problem. No, but the spirit of the end of the 90s is still available or still there in the Cloudfest, and this is why I love this 3 days in Roost. And yeah, I'm happy to be back in Roost next year, hopefully with a big party after 2 years now online.
Yeah, I think Cloudfest has to up their game for the next one. They have to, because everyone will come. I'm absolutely sure, and no one will miss it, because everyone is missing it right now.
Yeah, everyone who is going there since a couple of times. Or you don't think that this will stay like hybrid, because maybe not everybody is able to travel and want to attend anyway, and that the keynotes and so on will be available online as well?
So I think in general, so our lockdowns and not being able to travel have taught a lot of people alternative ways to meet, right, and to have such events. And so overall, I think business travel will never come back to where it was before. Yeah. Because companies will just say, hey, we can save quite a lot of money, and it's actually also effective. And people that have not much time now realize, hey, I don't need a day or maybe 2 days even for one customer meeting just to be there in person. I can do it in 1 hour. Mm-hmm. So I can do, like, in 2 days, that's like, say, 20 meetings or something. Yes. So it's pretty effective. So there will be a difference. But I think there will be major prime events where people will go. Because people are missing the personal meetings and the ability to have a conversation. It's not just, in a Zoom meeting, you go in, business, 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 bye.
Yes.
If someone is not dialing up in time, you have this 1 or 2 minutes where you can talk a little bit small talk, but then as soon as everyone's there, like, business. and that will, that is missed. The social glue, some people call it, is very much missed. So people appreciate this also more now. And so for certain events, I think there will be quite a high attendance. But general travel to meet for like a normal kind of business discussion
will
will go down.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And sure, they will have a hybrid event. They have learned how to do it. I hope. Yeah, I'm sure. So it will be also very. The experience of attending Cloudfest remotely will be better. But everyone who can will come. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I'm sure. And I'm sure, as I know the organization now since a long time, that they will organize a big bang for the next year, and
they have to.
Yeah, and we will have a lot of fun again, I'm sure, because if I remember all the live acts and so on in the Colosseo, and the speakers, and I'm sure we will have a lot of fun. Hopefully next year, back on site in Roost.
Yeah, me too.
So, yeah, looking to the next year now, what will be in 4, 5, 6 years? What will the business going through? Where will be the CSP business? Do you see any significant changes or new players coming up? Or what do you think? Because if you look big in the past, nobody talked about AWS or Azure or something like this. 5, 6
quite
years
some
ago.
time in the past.
5, 6 years ago.
10 years ago.
10 years ago? Yeah, but in Europe it's less. Maybe in the US it's earlier. But what will be next? Any idea?
So I could say I know it, but I don't tell it.
Okay, keep it as a secret. In 5 years, you can say, "This is what I wanted to say."
Exactly. This is what I had in mind.
Yeah.
No, but in reality, nobody knows, certainly. I think it's clear that cloud-ish business models are completely evaporating everything else, right? And that's true for Open Exchange, and it's true for nearly even Microsoft is now a cloud company.
Yes.
Who would have thought, right? Maybe Google helped a little. But thinking about the future, I think user experience will change. User experience will go a different way. We are still in the world of the mouse and the clicky and a screen. And as we can already crudely experience at the moment is that the talking to the internet is working somehow. It's still not the main way we communicate with the internet, but it could be. And also, everyone is waiting for some virtual, like enhanced reality with glasses somehow. The world hopes that Apple will solve it for them. Maybe they will, maybe not. But there will be virtual enhancements to reality that have nothing to do with a keyboard, mouse, or screen. And I think that will change. And we will see it creeping in more and more. And that has also very much effects for the other side, like how you build an application. How do you build an application that you can't see, that you can just talk to?
Yes.
Or how do you build applications that can do everything, that you can use with a keyboard, mouse, and screen, but also talk to? Or, if you think about any user interface that you have in sight, where you could walk around, you cannot really touch anything or so. So user experience demands will change drastically, and all that knowledge how to do this right is not there yet. It's all, to be honest, pretty shitty experiences. Like talking to Siri or Siri is not even the best. Like Alexa, even I have a housekeeper. Her name is Alexa, which makes the whole thing very difficult talking to her and Alexa at the same time. But it's not great, right? It's if you have learned how to use them, somehow it works. But if you're getting a little bit off track, then the experience is typically like 50-50 chance that she, interestingly, will do what you want from her, right?
But I have a trick for you. You have to rename her, give her a nickname like Hilde or something like this. And then you have the separation between Alexa and Alexa.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I should. That would be helpful at the end of the day. That's why all the others use 2 words, not only one. Yeah, but I think that will have great impact. And I don't even know how that will affect the cloud infrastructure. Not too much, I guess. But then the second thing is artificial intelligence.
Yes. Indeed.
And that will affect the cloud infrastructure greatly because you need quite some hardware for that. And it's a combination because if you want to do a good talkative interface or being online with your glasses and give you real-time information that makes any sense, you need lots of AI technologies. And there the data centers will just grow to hell.
Yes.
Because the demands, at least right now, are very high on the hardware. So Rausch Netzwerktechnik should think about AI clusters or something like that. I don't know.
We are doing this. And I think another point is the business cases will change from on-site or on-prem and or cloud to hybrid models to keep part of the applications on-site and make it hybrid to the cloud to get redundancy and to have the hardware you will need on-site and have other resources rented from a cloud service provider, and you can move your applications wherever you need it. And this is something we are working in as well. So the use case and your experience in any way, business side and private side, I think there will be a lot of changes for the next couple of years. And as we are still young, I hope we'll go a long way together, more or less, in contact, that we stay in business for the next, don't know how many years, but hopefully
30 years. 30 years. 30 years,
I don't make 3, no, 3 is not enough, but 10 years maybe. And then
come on, 10 years. You will. It's super boring not to do anything. I experienced that, so.
It's
10
true.
years is not enough for you, believe me.
Yeah, maybe I think in 10 years about what I will do the next 10 years.
You should.
I will. Okay, so I think for today was a nice talk with you. Really great to meet you again in person, not only via Zoom or.
Is this 1.5 meters here?
It's 160. I measured it. So, thank you so much. Have a nice time.
You too. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.